All right, I guess I'm live, and this is for my fellow deplorables out there. I had a dilemma. It started with God and THC. It's up to you to tell me whether you believe in God or you believe it was THC. I'm putting my faith in God only because I've been off THC for 3 weeks now. It got me in trouble. I got arrested, yes. I ran into the officers who arrested me, and they've forgiven me, and they laughed. And they told me they were going to dismiss the charges. The problem is my message was to President Trump, and that was to not always have to be so funny. God wants you to know that he's in your corner. God wants you to know that he picked you. Yes, opportunities are in front of all of us. We all have opportunities. Through the years, man has opportunities. Whether you take them or not, that's man's free will. That's what God wanted me to tell you. And the difference is he normally doesn't get involved. But you're saying all the things already that God wanted me to tell you. And I have told God that when we were talking, and you got to picture this, that I've always been bored with religion. I didn't believe a lot of what they said. And I kind of believed in God, but I pictured him as Cheech and Chong, Tommy Chong, when he was younger, but Samuel L. Jackson's voice. So picture God, he swears a lot at me and to me. And it's pretty funny. And that's the way I picture God. And if you look up Patreon, Sean McGough, there'll be a lot more involved with it. Now, my message, God said I had the opportunity to make millions and bring millions of people together. I thought that meant I was going to be the next John Candy or Ralphie May or Chris Farley even, that I was going to be able to do something. God said, no, sir, that's not correct. He said that would break up my marriage, and it's been hard enough to keep my wife with me. That's right. I've been a horrible husband. I've been so stupid that I thought I could flirt with other women in front of my wife, and that would make her want me more. That's how friggin' dumb I am, and that's sober. So bear with me. I'm not the brightest guy. But in this case, I got a lot of hints today that I still have a chance at this, and that I have to have faith, and I have to put it out there. And it depends on my deplorables and the people who believe in God. And unlike the squad and the rest of them, this is America, and we do have customs. God believes in strong borders. God believes that we are his. And the way that America goes is the way that the world goes. God's seen communism, and that's why God supports President Trump. Now, I said God. You got to bear with me. This is a long story. This started, Christmas Eve. I was using THC. Now, I was a Gulf War vet, the first Gulf War back in the 90s, around all the smog and taking the little pills. And I've had problems for the last 10 years. That's right. Pain, suffering. I hide it with anger. I hide it with laughing. But I've been in so much pain. When I got arrested this time, they asked me if I've ever been suicidal. I said yes. For the last 10 years, there have been times when I've had flare-ups that I just can't deal with. But really, it's passive-aggressive suicide because I wouldn't want my wife or my kids to find me. So I did things like smoke 10 cigars and then run a mile as fast as I could, hoping for a heart attack. Yeah, I did that because I'm brilliant. And they're saying that it's the THC that made me hear God. Well, they gave me PTSD drugs, and I took them. And the doctor said, am I done with THC? I said, well, I can't say as I am because your drugs aren't helping the pain, and the THC did. And even when I wasn't smoking it, I felt better, and I felt myself. And this started Christmas Eve, and this is a long story, and bear with me. I'll get to it. But God wants us all to be successful, and he wanted me to take this leap of faith. And there's no guarantee. I could come out burning, dying and burning, just falling to earth, and that's okay. Because President Trump is already saying a lot of what God wanted me to tell him, that he doesn't have to be so angry with the jokes. And the joke with Mike Bloomberg and going under the mic, hilarious. God finds that funny too. God's a funny bastard. Take in mind, remember, God appears to you the way you see God. And he came to me in the way I see him. And there was a burning bush, and that burning bush was weed. And Jesus was there. And this was my vision. And I kept making the joke that every time Jesus opened his mouth, that shut up, you little bastard, children should be seen and not heard. God thought that was hilarious. I think it's pretty goddamn funny. Jesus was pissed. God made a joke that times haven't changed. Thousands of years later, the kids are still the same. They live off their parents. They sponge off. Now, remember, Jesus' dad was Joseph. His dad, who he recognized, was Joseph, Mary's husband. And he lived off of Joseph, and he sponged off of Joseph. And then he went out and started preaching about things that he never really had anything to do with, and he doesn't know about. Times haven't changed. And that's God's joke. And Jesus said, fuck you. That's because that's how Jesus talks in my world. You don't have to believe me. I'm not saying believe me. What I'm saying, there is a God, there is a heaven, there is a hell. And there's many questions I asked. And if you go to Patreon, Sean McGough, you'll be able to find some of those questions. I haven't got to read yet. But God said, I was meant for more, that I could entertain. Like I said, I couldn't be the Chris Farley. I couldn't be the Ralphie May, because the temptations in front of me would be way too much. And I would end up losing my wife. And God said he put my wife in front of me, that he made her fall in love with me. I make a joke that if my wife didn't stalk me, we would have never been married. And that's true. But here's the thing. My wife was a minor when we met. And yes, it would have been considered statutory. And it's horrible. But 28 years later, we're still together. And God's managed to see his way through. And I could ask for forgiveness. I wanted to try stand-up years ago. I accidentally did it when I was talking during somebody's set at an open mic. And they said, okay, funny guy, you want to interrupt? You come up here and try it. Well, I did, and I did well. I did it 2 weeks in a row. And I'm not going to say I killed, but I got laughs. And I enjoyed it. And I love being a ham. And I've lived my whole life like I'm a radio show. You see behind me the Dave and Chuck the Freak. If you haven't watched them or heard them, they're hilarious. Chuck hates you, Mr. Trump. I'm sorry. Not everyone loves you. Not everyone loves you the way I love you and knows you the way all of us deplorables. And if you're a 50-year-old white man and you're tired of being called a racist because you support the duly elected president and you support the man who is trying to fulfill promises that every president since Reagan has promised but hasn't come through. If you are tired of being a minority and you're called a sellout, you're called all these nasty, horrible things because you support the president, come join me. There is a God. That's one God. We have culture in this country, and God supports America. The way this country goes is the way America goes. You don't believe me, but Trump is saying it, and people are saying he's crazy. It's the man in the sky. And I mentioned that to God, as we were talking, if I was blasted, I'm totally sober and straight and no THC, but I'm remembering this conversation. I used to get baked out of my mind when I was younger. I'm not going to lie. And I'll be damned if I ever remember the conversation. But I remember this one now. And how is that? Because God's still telling me. He's giving me the opportunity. It was in the New York Post today. There were many different stories, different hints, and things that I'm seeing on TV that I have to put my faith out there. And the last thing I'm going to say to you is what God gave me, the opportunity. And it's not to be the next stand-up guy because I would lose my wife. I wouldn't be able to deal with the travel and what comes along with it and the temptation. But God said there's still plenty of room on the internet for fools like me who can get 5 and 10-minute videos of their friends and their douchebaggery and get laughs and millions of views. And I can still make money. God doesn't say you're going to make a ton of money. There's no promises with these opportunities. And what I'm trying to tell you is, man throughout history has had opportunities. I asked God, why is there so much evil on earth? And it seems like there's more than there is good. And God said, because he can only be on earth, watching earth at certain times. And there'll be a lot more explained in Patreon, Sean McGough. Look me up. I had a little sign I was going to have here, but I can't find it. Excuse me. No, that's not the coronavirus. I actually have a head cold and a sniffy nose. I didn't get to ask God about coronavirus because he's gone, or I would have and said, was this man released or was this you? because God, we've read the stories, and like I said, the Bible, the Quran, and there's been options. People who write and who've spoken with God, they have the opportunity to go the righteous way and the right way, or to go the wrong way and benefit themselves. And too many times they've gone the wrong way with their writings, and they haven't followed the righteous path. And sorry, Muslims, Christianity and Christians have followed a more righteous path. That's why our country is more evolved than a lot of the third world countries. And that's why they're still third world, because they chose self-indulgence over what was righteous and what was right. God presented himself to Buddha. There is a Buddha. There was an Allah. But man has corrupted all of these. And that's what God, the last thing God wrote that was pretty much not plagiarized, not messed with, was the 10 Commandments. After that, it's up to man. God talked to man. And you got to understand, Samuel L. Jackson is how God talks to me. So I mentioned movies. I mentioned things that, oh my God, that's just like, well, it's Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when Kurt Russell's on the thing and he's in charge of the whole universe. And God said, you think you're the only one I talk to, motherfucker? That's because that's how God talks to me, motherfucker. And every time I mention that something is just like a movie, he said, how many times I got to tell you, stay on point, motherfucker? This is about the president. This ain't about you. And this ain't about the Hollywood. You think I'm the only one to talk to? I talk to everybody, motherfucker. And it just goes on from there. I ask a lot of questions. God said he chose me because I wouldn't shut up and I wouldn't be afraid to say what God has been telling me. And that's that God is behind President Trump. And that America is God's country. In 424 years, we have developed more than God could have ever. You want to know what happened to dinosaurs? Ask God. He took them as far as they could go. And that's where the media comes from. You think climate change? God laughs. God wants us to do what we've been doing, to try to cancel pollution, to try to control what we spread, to lower our carbon footprint. Those are all wonderful things, and everybody wants it. But to think that we control the temperature of Earth, that man does anything, he laughs at you. He thinks you're a fool. No, God is in control. You have to believe that. You choose to, you're not. That's your opportunity. That's your choice. That's man's free will. And my free will is to put faith in God, that God's going to allow me. He doesn't say I'm going to make $100 million, $200 million, $300 million. It's all out there. It's up for grabs. The trick is to have faith, to believe in God, to be able to put yourself out there and to love God. And there's many things that I've done in my past. I said I'm a lousy vessel, God. I'm the worst vessel. I've been on the wrong side of the law. I've been, even this, I got in trouble because I kicked somebody's car because God was trying to tell me, and I was trying to get it all on the internet and trying to text and go as fast as I could and speaking in tongues. Take the world's fastest speaking guy and double and triple how fast he talks. You can pick it out, but you can't quite get it. That's speaking in tongues. It's not this bullshit. No, you're told, but God said I was cheating, and this was a long conversation. And it started Christmas Eve. I go to my friend's house, and he's in my picture. I think it's up there. God said I can take him with me, and my success will depend on the deplorables and who supports me and who supports the president. But here's the thing. My belief has always been that God hasn't been with me. Where has he been? Well, it turns out God told me, heaven forgot about me for a while. These are stories can be checked. I have a scar on my hand. It goes from here to here. When I was young, probably, about 5 years old, I tried to impress my older brother, my oldest brother, by doing something. And instead, I sliced my hand and I lost a ton of blood. Well, when you die and it's a child, it's different when you go to heaven. It wouldn't explain to me how. It's just different. It's a different undertaking. Well, I was supposed to have died and I didn't. And that drew a lot of problems. It's kind of like Beetlejuice when they go to find their book and find out what they're doing wrong. God's, pay attention, motherfucker. We're not talking about Beetlejuice. But that's how I see God. That's how we view God. And that's how God came to me. You see him different. It's whatever is in your subconscious. There'll be more of that at Patreon, Sean McGough. You have to bear with me. God said I can retire. And there have been so many things today that says, go ahead and talk about it. And including seeing the arresting officer again, and he's forgiven me. And he said, hey, I thought you were going to be retired by now. Well, you know what? That was the last straw. I still have the availability to retire, to put my faith in God and my fellow Americans and deplorables. And God believes in borders. And guess what? God gave us all free will. And those books have been corrupted by man through the years. And the people who chose to go the righteous way, those countries, and the United States has been that way. Our leaders, have they always? No. And that's why God got Trump involved. They've taken money. They've gone the wrong way. They've tried to destroy this country. The world goes the way America goes. And God wants you to know that. God supports Trump. He put the people around Trump. He gave him the opportunity to take the presidency, but he also put guardian angels, and they're all around us. And you'll be able to read more of that at Patreon Sean McGough. Just do Patreon/Sean McGough. It will allow me to write and to go on and to get off my feet and all the pain I've had from, like I said, the first Gulf War. I've had every illness you can imagine. And I went to the hospital and they said, have I ever been suicidal? And as I said, yes, I have. For 10 years, I've wanted to die. It's not necessarily true, as I said, passive aggressive, but now I don't. God took all my pain away. I still, since then, have had pain come back. And it's because they gave me these PTSD, and I've used them. And the doctor said, well, why don't you try CBD with it? And I did that. And you know what? It feels the exact same. Feels the exact same as it did when I was using the THC, except my head wasn't clear. And I wasn't thinking, I wasn't happy. The THC made me happy. But here's the thing. Instead of road rage, I got road anxiety. Instead of screaming, get out of the way, will you take your turn, Jesus Christ? I'm more like road annoyance. Oh, jeez, will you just turn? That's it. I got road annoyance. That's what the PTSD drug. They keep you at a level discount, at a level that is hard to stay at. You're just constant. Well, guess what? The THC did that too. And it was a lot more fun. And God said, allow veterans, allow people with opiate problems, get it out there, Mr. Trump. The options that were out there for the big pharma, the people in big pharma years ago, they've known the benefits of pot. They've known the benefits of THC. They chose to go the other way. They chose their greed. They chose to not go the righteous path. And they're paying for that. Oh, yeah, there's payment. Heaven is not all, it's not all honey and whoa, yay, everything's wonderful. No, there's payment. I asked God, what about abortion? What happens when a person gets abortion? No, you're allowed into heaven after an abortion. But there is a payment, and you can learn about that at Sean McGough, Patreon Sean McGough. It's tough and it's hard, and you might wish you went to hell, but it goes away. But there is a punishment. There is a payment. And only I can tell you about it. It takes too long. You'll have to read about it when I get the chance. But I'm putting my faith in God and in Patreon. And that's not God's wish. That's not how I'm going to make money. That's my wish that I hope I can write and make people enjoy what I have to say. And I hope I can bring people along with me and I can get followers. I'm new to the internet, and that's why I'm doing this live now. And I'm doing this video because I have all these things around me, but I can't figure out the internet. Go look at my first YouTube video that I'm working with my friend. I've come this far and I don't even know how. I don't know what buttons I'm hitting. I don't know what I'm doing. God said, put faith in him, put faith in my deplorables, put faith in my 50-year-old angry white men who are pissed off because, yes, we're 50-something years old and we have never done a goddamn thing wrong except support the president and supported our country. And the president's trying to keep his promises. He's kept more promises than any president in the first term in history. And he's with God. God is with him. God put the people around him who pushed him. It was his ultimate choice whether to take the opportunity, just like choices within the Bible and people writing, and they have the righteous choice and they have the self-interest choice. This was not a self-interest choice with President Trump. This was God's choice. And God knows the way of America goes is the way the world goes. And he's already seen what communism does. He's already seen what Hitler had done. You people really believe there's there's people coming for you. Well, guess what? Then you don't give up your guns. God's a big First Amendment, Second Amendment guy. Believe it or not, he's also pro-weed. And God was smoking. As I said, he had the burning bush. And Jesus comes in the room with a huge blunt that would make Snoop Dogg jealous. But guess what? That was pure overkill. I talked to Jesus. I say, hey, you know what? Shut up. Children should be seen and not heard. Get in the other room. God thought that was hilarious. I think it's pretty damn funny. And I kept calling him a bastard, which it's God's child and not Joseph's. And hey, God thought it was funny. He thought it's mean, but it's pretty funny. God's a funny bastard, at least my God, the God around us. And however you pray is how you're going to see God. I pray God the way I've seen God. Now, why am I getting this opportunity now? Because years ago, God forgot about me. Heaven forgot about me. I showed you my scar. I was supposed to die. Well, shortly after that, we all have, we call it 2020, we call it hindsight. There's guardian angels that are living and dead around us. After this accident, heaven basically thought I was dead. A few years later, I drowned. I give two people credit for saving me. One, I accidentally let out to his son at a bar I was at. It's called Joe's Nautical Bar. It's in Hull. They hate you, Mr. President. I'm sorry. You can't make everyone love you. Some of the bartenders and people there hate you. Not everyone's going to be a lover. That's the way it is. But they're good people ultimately, and it's a great place. And customers support you, even if some of the workers don't. But I was down at this bar, and I was saying that this person saved my life, that I owe my life. And my child, who was with me, we were having lunch there. They don't serve food, but you can bring food, and it's a gorgeous view. That's not coronavirus. I have a cold. But God, I didn't know there was a second person involved until later on. And my daughter asked me, Dad, I thought you said it was somebody else. Now there's two people. Both names will remain nameless. If they go to Patreon, Sean McGough, and they want to out themselves that, yeah, that was me, that's fine. And that's what my book's about. If you want to be negative, if you want to say I'm crazy, if you want to swear at me, if you have $3 to sign up for my book, Patreon, Sean McGough, go look it up. If you got $3 and you want to give me your $3 just to tell me I'm crazy, or you want to be negative, or you want to throw your money at me to call me an a-hole, well, guess what? I don't want your fucking money. Excuse me. I'm trying not to swear because of my daughter. That's in an email I tried to send to President Trump, and I was trying to get the conversation between me and God and what God wanted me to tell President Trump, who's already listening. He's already been doing it. Calm down on the Twitter. At least throw an LOL in there, Mr. President, because not everybody gets what you're trying to say. They don't get your sense of humor the way most of us do. People who actually listen to you and follow you and know you to be a good person at heart. Now, my wife does not support you. She didn't vote Democrat, thank God. But she doesn't support you. And because of not your political beliefs, but your moral background. And we were at the beach, and I was with a friend, and we were talking about you. And his cousins were either cousins or friends, I forget who they were. They supported you. And somebody within the group is a Democrat said, well, you have to admit his morals come to question. And I said, absolutely. I'm sorry, Mr. President. You're as bad as me. Morally, yeah, we've done some things that are corrupt. Yeah, but we ask for forgiveness and we let it off our backs. And you've been more in touch with God than I. You're not afraid to go forward after making mistakes. I've always been. And God said, it's about time I let it off, that I let it out, and that I let it, that I let it all out there. Yeah, God will keep calling me a big pussy. But God believes in you, Mr. President, and the way this country is going. And the joke I have is at the end of this. It's up to you, my fellow deplorables, my Christians, and my Muslim brothers who you've been screwed. You've been screwed because man took the Quran and ran with it and did awful things. The hate and some of the things that are in there, that wasn't by God and the Bible even. So the hate and the fighting and that wasn't God's wish. Like I said, the last thing true from God. There are some writings that, yes, God has appeared to other people and told them to write. But, a lot of the writing man has done to make themselves more money for the corruption. And that's what happened with our government. And that's what we're seeing. And that's what these bringing Hillary up and all these others, and that they're going to hang. Well, you know what? They've been corrupt for a lot of years, and it's about time. And Barr is a good man, Mr. Trump. He has your back, but you have to let him be and don't get involved. And you're giving the opposition ammunition every time you go against the attorney general. Let the attorney general do his job. God wanted me to tell you that it's not an easy job, and there's a lot of dirt to go through, but it's there, and God has you. And there are more people supporting you now. God said, I'm not going to be, like I said, I can do 5 and 10-minute videos and get likes and I don't even know how you get internet money. I have no clue. But God said, I can get sponsors and I can get followers and I can get 10, 5 million. None of this is guaranteed. None of this is, I could be just burning in hell and just gonna bomb. But maybe this video gets me 8 billion likes and I can get paid through there. God said I'm not meant to be on my feet and killing myself the way I have been. And like I said, the Gulf War illness, I'm not alone, and it's affected many. And allow pot to be free. Allow marijuana to be used for the troops, for the people who have PTSD. God is on board with it. And Big Pharma has screwed us for years, and they have been. But God is on your side, Mr. Trump. That's the message. And I've gotten so many signs just today that my opportunity is not over, that God is still looking out for me, and I have to not be afraid. I have to come forward. And like I said, yes, for 10 years, I felt like I wanted to die. There was the pain, the misery. But this started Christmas Eve. And I was talking with my friend, and I'm just now getting into the real story. So I hope you're bearing with me. I was talking with my friend and his family, and I was leaving. And I was telling jokes, and I was myself. And yes, I was hitting a little THC. I'm not going to lie, but I was at the end. But I only had a couple of beers, and I had to go to work, and my wife was rushing me. And I said, honey, what the hell? I'm going to be there any minute. I'm finishing a story here. So finally, I finished my story. People were laughing. They went inside. My kids were in the car, and I said to my wife, I was angry. I was pissed. I said, listen, we've been married almost 30 years. You used to laugh at all my jokes. And like I said, I've been a bastard for over 10 years. I've done stupid shit. Like I think I've already said, I've hit on women thinking that would make my wife want me more. That if she knew other women that I could get them, because I'm brilliant. Yeah, I'm a friggin' moron. I know these things. I have not always been bright. And that's why my poor guardian angels have lost jobs. That's right. You can get fired in heaven too. But after my hand incident, a few years later, as I said, I drowned and I should have died, but I didn't. A woman dragged me out. My friends held me up and a woman dragged me out. She gave me CPR and I came back. And God noticed me and said, this son of a bitch again, because as I said, there's something different when an innocent child dies. Heaven does things different. I drew the attention of God, and he looked into me, and he thought it was hilarious that I see him as Tommy Chong. Then he opens a little window, and you'll read more about this at Patreon, Sean McGough, Patreon, however the hell you say it. If you go there, I haven't spread the word yet. I haven't broken any barriers. That's my doing, and I hope you can support me. I hope you'll believe me, and I can write more about this, and I'm working towards my retirement. God said you can have faith, and you can make as much money as possible, but you have to share that money. You have to be willing to put it out there, and I plan on doing that. I plan on being what my wife asked me after she first saw me smoking weed. She asked me, what am I doing? I said I was going to be home at 9 o'clock. Well, it ended up being close to 9 in the morning. And yes, I was smoking pot. And she said, I don't approve of that. I don't like the smell. And it's going all through the house. I said, listen, the pot has helped me. I feel like a different person. I can walk again. I can work out. I can do all these things again. And excuse me. She said, yes, but I hate the smell. I can't take the smell. I said, listen, I felt suicidal. I finally told her after all these years, I felt suicidal. This made me stop. This made me feel like me again. I've been different. And my wife's tough. She said, yeah, well, I don't care how it made you feel. I don't like the smell of it, so you better come up with an alternative. Well, that's when I started smoking the oil. If they find a way to make the bud not smell so bad, then that's what I would have been smoking. But it had nothing to do with THC. I haven't had any THC in 3 weeks to a month, but I'm remembering the whole conversation. I'm remembering everything God told me. And guess what? God supports America. We are God's country. 424 years. And we haven't always had the best history. God admits that. But we've overcome our history and we've come a long way. And these countries that have had the Quran, they had the same opportunities put in front of them. Their leaders did to go towards the path of righteousness to help their people. Instead, they took it the other way. They helped themselves. They wanted to take over the world. They wanted to take over and earn money and use it for themselves. And they've done the same with the Bible and other books. It's not just the Quran, but God has a plan for us, Mr. President. And you don't have to believe that or not. You are part of that plan. And there's people around you who pushed you. And they're your guardian angels. And I'll talk a lot about guardian angels at Sean McGough, at Patreon, Sean McGough. There's a lot of guardian angel talk. And there's hopefully I can retire after this. And it's up to you, my fellow deplorables, whether you believe me or not, whether you want to come on board and go along with God's plan, because the last thing I'm going to do, it's God's plan, and whether you believe me or not. And if you know that God supports President Donald J. Trump, that God is in his corner, America is God's country, and God supports weed. And as I said, you don't go to hell for abortion. But there is a price to pay. There's a penalty. There's a fee. If you're evil, if you're bad, if you do things, there's a heaven, there's a hell, and there's different levels. It's not all happiness and glory and the gates open, except for the young children. When a child dies, the gates are open to heaven, and the glory is theirs. Not so much when you're an adult. You're judged. Oh, yes, you are. You are judged. There's gates to hell, just like there's borders, and God supports our strong borders, just like the gates to hell. And it's not racist. It's keeping your country strong, a sovereign nation, and God supports it. And God supports what the president has been doing, and that's what he wanted me to tell President Trump, to relax, not let the tractors get under his skin. You have plenty of people in your corner. You have the Hodge twins. You have Joe Pag. You have the Howie Cars. You have Candace Owens. You have Terrence K. You have all of these people, and they're getting the word out, and minorities are coming around, and they understand it's not so much what you say, it's how you say it that people want to grab onto and take it out of context. And sometimes, yes, it doesn't seem nice. It doesn't seem, but take it in context and with the whole description and the whole stuff. There's nothing wrong with it, and God supports it. And this video was made to show my support, not only for the President Trump, but to ask for forgiveness. Now, as I said, God haven't forgot about me. And this was God's attempt to help me. My wife, I met her when she was a minor and I was older. And I tried to get away 3 different times. I make the joke that if she didn't stalk me, we would never be married. And people who know me know I'm the worst at catching up signs that anybody likes me or a woman gives a damn. I've always been bad at that. My wife made the first move, but I felt guilty and I tried 3 different times to get away. And then when I went to the Marine Corps, I called her and she answered. And I spoke to God about this and he said, "Motherfucker, do you think that was an accident?" Because I've run out of guardian angels here on earth. I've run out of, my last ones were having their own lives. They were changing. It's my best friend and his family. And my life was changing and I was going to go down the wrong avenue. And God found somebody who could look out after me. And somebody stronger than I could ever imagine, stronger than I could ever be. That's my wife. And I got to apologize for all the bullshit through the years. Yeah, I haven't been good, but I want to be the man she thinks I could be. Excuse me, I'm crying like a big bitch again. I know. That's okay. The signs I got today and the forgiveness and what I've been told. It's as real as if it's not THC. And the doctor asked me, and I said, you know what? the difference of everything is all the pain came back since I stopped the THC. That's right. Not all the pain, but joint pain, the knees, my ankles, my feet. Oh, my floors started to work there and everybody. Horrible floors. The post office needs better floors. They're horrible. But that's neither here nor there. God said to have faith in my fellow man, in my deplorables, and to put it out there. God supports Donald Trump. If anyone else got elected, our country would have failed. We would have gone down. They tried to sell us out down the river and spread the wealth. But you know what? That's not how it works. Each country is involved. Each country has their own to look out for. It's okay to help. It's not okay to just steal and take and divide. And that's what Democrats wanted to do. They wanted to hurt our country, hurt us at our core, and to make us the same as every other country. No, we're not. And God said we need one strong leader to support this world. And the United States, he's chosen. In 424 years, we've done more than all these other countries in thousands of years. We have a melting pot. And you can come here and you can worship any God you want. You can worship any religion you want. Although voodoo, yeah, that's black magic. Stay away from that shit. God said there's a heaven, there's a hell. Stay away from that shit. And he told me, I said, why is there so much evil? Why is there so much bad in this world? And why doesn't he do more about it? And God said he can only be at one planet at a time, and he has more universe than just us. I asked him, does that mean there's aliens, that they're really out there? He said, mind your business, motherfucker. That's not what we're talking about. Well, when God tells you mind your business, you mind your business, because he's God, and that's the way it is. Anyway, a few years after that, I got into a car accident. I was with a friend of mine. I had loaned him money for the car, and he crashed it. I went through the windshield. Actually, before that, I smashed my head and broke a tooth, and I got a concussion. And they brought me home. And basically, I was given ibuprofen and told to go sleep it off, and I'd feel better when I woke up. But we all know you don't do that with a concussion. Blood can pool. You can die. And once again, I drew God's attention, and not this motherfucker again, he says. And a few years after that, I got into a car accident. I went through the windshield for the most part. Thought I broke an ankle. It was just foot wrap. I don't remember any of it. I've never seen the bright lights, except when I spoke to God this night on January 8th. Instead of me having the light come up, the light was coming down. I felt a connection. There's a woman who took this video, and I'm trying to explain it on the video because it's amazing. And her camera runs out. I don't know how to put it on the internet, but her camera runs out, and I asked another person to film me. He was right there. Filmed the last few things that God was trying to tell me before I forget him. He's speaking in tongues. Everything's going so fast, and he was leaving me. God was leaving me. And this person swore at me and said, fuck you, I don't know you. And he started to pull away. Well, I kicked his car, and God said, motherfucker, even when I give you something in front of you by myself, you can't pay attention for 1 minute, motherfucker. That's how God talks to me. And that's right. I was myself. I got angry, and I kicked the car. I shouldn't have, but that's what I did. And the police came down. One thing led to another. Well, they put me in the hospital. They thought I was having a PTSD experience. Well, you know what? I'm remembering the conversation. God supports America. God supports weed. He supports marijuana for opiates, for people having depression, for people having problems, the shakes. There's so many uses that we still haven't come out with. And the CBD does help, and it doesn't work the same. But for persons who have a problem with the THC, the CBD will help. Not as much, but it will help. And these are things that God wants us to know, that yes, there's a punishment for abortion. You're not going to hell. Oh, the goddamn GBLT, whatever the hell you are. God says to stop trying to make young children change from being boys to girls and girls to boys. You wait until they become old enough to make that decision on their own. God doesn't give a damn what you do yourself. That's free will when you get to be a certain age. But he's pissed you're changing children, and you're believing young children, and you're not trying to get them psychological help, because that's what the problem is. The problem is in the wiring, not the plumbing. Does he make mistakes? Have there been anomalies. And yes, that's what he called them, anomalies. Yes, there certainly have been. There have been reasons. But overall, no, God's pissed you're changing plumbing. He wouldn't answer me the question, though, when a person dies, if you become a female from a male, how do they go back into heaven? He told me to mind my business and stay on cue, motherfucker. So he wouldn't tell me if you become, say, Mary from John and you die and you go to heaven, do you become John again? Nah, he wouldn't answer that question. There's a lot he wouldn't answer. And every time he wouldn't answer me, he says, stay on point, motherfucker, which makes me laugh every time because it's Samuel L. Jackson and that shit's funny. Anyway, where was I? So basically, I asked God, why did I always have bad luck? Why did it always feel like it was on me? And he basically said, because they forgot about me. And I was finding my own guardian angels. They didn't have one appointed to me. As silly as that sounds, I was forgotten by heaven, but I made the best of it and the best I can do. And that's what attracted God's attention. I'm not supposed to be here. There's a funny story that goes along with that about a fortune teller years ago. And how I freaked her out when I asked her to do my lifeline. I'm not a big believer in that. I believe a lot more now. I listen to George Norrie, I've always been interested. And also, when you take a look at the sky, look twice, because God didn't say whether there's aliens or not, but he did not say. So take a second look at the sky. And if there's aliens, they're way more advanced than we are. They're not looking for war. But they are looking at how far we've come along. And I believe that now. There's a lot of people that I've listened to and that I've seen. And I watch the Ancient Aliens. I don't believe all of it. I used to take it all with a grain of salt, and there's a lot more I'm believing now because of my own instance. What I felt and how I feel. I've heard people saying the same things. And recently, not in the past, but recently, and God said, don't be afraid, my friend. Go out there. He didn't say my son. He said my friend. Don't be afraid to go out there and to tell the world there is a God and he supports America. And the way of America is the way of the world. And you can worship any religion you want, except for the voodoo. Like I said, stay away from the evil shit. Stay away from black magic. That shit's real, and you'll bring some hell on you. And there is heaven and there is hell. But in the grand scheme of things, if any of those other people got elected, we would have been to war. The planet would have changed, and they would have sold us out, sold us down the river. And God wanted me to tell the president to relax. I'm the world's worst vessel. I tried to tell God. I've been in trouble with the law. I haven't been a good husband. I've been a good dad. I try to be a good dad. But there's so many things I've been a screw up at. And God said, did you see who I put in as fucking president? That's what he said. That was God. That wasn't me, Mr. President. That was God. And I thought it was funny. The shit made me laugh. But basically what he's saying is, it's not what you do in your moral life. You will be forgiven. You may not be forgiven by people that you did it against. When you cheat, yeah, there might be something that you have to pay. But in the long run, God supports President Trump. God is there. And hopefully God, I'm believing in you and I'm putting my faith in you that the deplorables and the rest of the world and people who believe in God will support me and help me to retire and help me do what I was meant to do. And like I said, it wasn't to be that I was going to be the next Ralphie May or Sam Kinison or any of the big comedians, because my marriage wouldn't last. That would be the final straw. And God put my wife with me. She's the yin to my yang, as they say. We are polar opposites. And he said, I don't have to go to mass, by the way. I didn't plan on being in mass. I didn't plan on sitting in the pews. That's not me. That's not going to happen. And God said, good, because when I did go to mass, I smell like cigars and I tend to fall asleep and then I snore and I drool and I bother everyone around me. And that's not what they need. And believing in God, there is a God, and he's shown himself in many different forms. And the people in AA have it right. There is a higher power, and you need to believe that, and you need to know that. And I believe it now more than ever. And I hope you can believe it too. And I hope you're with me. And I didn't just crash and burn. That I'm hoping, I don't know whether I'll get 1,000 likes or 1,000 people that will donate to my cause. I have no idea. This is a leap of faith that I'm taking that God told me. And I ran into the police officer today that I had to run in with, and he laughed and he joked, oh, excuse me, my Trump sticker I got. I won't put it on my car because there's too many idiots out there that'll actually break your window if you put a Trump sticker on your car. It doesn't make any sense to me either. You got a right to vote and support whoever the hell you want. I don't care who it is. That's your right. And for other people to these Antifa, no, you're not supporting anybody's right. You need your asses kicked. And God is on top of that too. God thinks you're full of shit. All right? You can believe that shit. And that's why you can't get out of your mom's basement, because you have no faith. But anyway, that's coming from me. That's not from God. I think you're a piece of shit. All these Antifa, all these people who want to hurt somebody just for what they believe in. I don't go hit a Bernie bro. I don't go bother a Hillarette, or whatever the hell they call themselves. Don't come bothering me because I'm a Trump supporter. There's millions of Trump supporters. But God told me I'm not going to be even the next Shapiro, or I get to make 5 and 10 minute videos. But I have to learn how to do it. And this is another angle that God gave me. And yeah, it's an angle. It's to hope that deplorables can understand that there's a God. And by supporting me, you support God. And let your voice be heard. That, yeah, one man can make a difference. I don't plan on just using this money to make myself rich. I plan on being more of what my wife wanted me to be, to help society and to move forward and to change my life along with the people around me, and hopefully better society. And I hope and I pray that I'm not just putting myself out there to be a fool, but that's what God said you have to do. And sometimes it's not all fun and games. You can't answer them all. Like I said, I have a video of that night, and I've never been more happy than I was that night. God was talking to me, and I had a connection. And that's what I need you to know. There is a God, and he supports America. He supports Donald Trump. And Mr. President, he supports giving weed to the VA and doling it out in dosage and allowing people with opiate problems, with all kinds of problems. The marijuana helps. Big Pharma doesn't want you to know that. They've been hiding that for years, but the truth is out there now. And believe me, I haven't had anything for 3 weeks, but I'm remembering the whole conversation. I'm remembering everything that God told me. I wouldn't have done that if it was the THC. I don't believe so. It's more than just THC. It's God. And please come along with me, America and the rest of the world, because this motherfucker needs to retire. I need to be doing what God meant me to do, and that's make people laugh and bring millions of people together. And that's what my opportunity is. It's a GoFundMe. And yeah, it sounds stupid, but if you believe in God and you believe that some people can change and that there's more to this world than just what we have in front of us, please help. Come to my GoFundMe. Enjoy the laugh. Enjoy the millions who are coming around. I have no idea how many. Could be one person. It could be 300 million people. I have no idea. That's the leap of faith. That's where God comes in. You have to be able to take that leap of faith. And that's why God picked President Trump. Yes, he's had opportunities in front of him, and he has failed, and he's gone on to other opportunities, and he has failed, and he's also been extremely successful. But God knew that President Trump could, as the rallies went on. He wasn't God. Donald Trump was not God's first choice when the whole thing started. Oh, no, it was definitely not going to be one of those socialist, communist Democrats, rather. But God was supporting a Republican and supporting someone who's going to support this country. And Donald Trump was not, and because of his moral lack of, whatever you want to call it, but as he made his promises, God thought the same thing as me. Is this guy for real? Is he just blowing smoke like we've heard since Reagan? Or is he for real? And it turns out, yes, he is. He's trying to keep his promises. And if Congress would get off their ass and work with him, if the other politicians would get off their asses instead of trying to obstruct everything he does and works with him, we'll be stronger than ever. And it's not our job to make every other country like us. It's their job to watch out for their own country. We can help. We've always helped. We have been the standard bearer. The United States has always, Have we had people take the wrong way? They've taken their opportunities and used it for their own wealth. Yeah, sure we have. You can just look at the last 8 years before Donald Trump, and you can see that in the years with the Clintons. And they were bringing this country down, and God was afraid. And he is still afraid that if somebody else gets in, it's bringing our country down, and the whole world may not survive it. So there you go. Follow me. Go to McGough, Sean McGough. Go to Patreon, Sean McGough, with a slash. Go ahead. You can join. There's nothing earth-shattering there yet. I hope there will be, but there's not yet. But I had to get this video out there because the president's already doing much of what God was trying to tell me to do, trying to tell me to tell him to do, to calm down, to relax. Don't let them get under your skin. You have so many people in your corner, so many more people now. Minorities know you're not a racist guy. You've done things through the years that prove you're not racist. You've done things to help people, and you don't make a big showboat about it. There's articles, there's people out there, they've talked about it, but you've never been, you let other people tote your victories, except on the stage when you're running for office. Then you instead of touting your victories and what you've done, you're more funny than anything. But God wants you to take that back a little. Tout your successes. Don't be negative. Make it more positive, Mr. Trump. And God is on your side. God is with you. And he wanted me to tell you that. And I can't figure out technology enough to do my 5 and 10 minute videos. This is going to allow me to do that. That's what God said, to have faith and to put faith in you and in our country and in God and my fellow deplorables. And that's where I stand. And I hope people can stand with me. I haven't always been perfect. God knows I've been a fool. I've done insane things, but God's given me another chance, and he's apologizing for forgetting about me. And he gave me my wife. She's the last of my guardian angels. I'll talk a lot about guardian angels and how they affect us, living and dead. We have people who watch over us. Yes, we do. And what I was always searching, my guardian angels that I searched out, it wasn't so much my friends. It's what my friends had. I guess I coveted what my neighbors had, and that was the mom, the dad, the siblings, a normal life. My uncle raised me, did the best he could, but he was forced to take on his sister's family after her husband died, my father. And she was crazy. She lost her mind, yes. And I may be just as crazy. God knows my brothers and sisters are. My sister is. But that's neither here nor there. This was not insanity. This was God. And he wanted me to send this message and to not be afraid and to show you that one man can make a difference, that one person believing in God and believing in his fellow man can take that and start something that's amazing. And I'm ready to take that chance. I'm ready to move on from where I'm at right now. I just need help. I need the public's help, and I need your help. And maybe you'll just think I'm crazy. Maybe you'll watch this video and move on. If I get 80 million likes, I don't even know how you get any money from the internet. I have no idea how any of this works. But I'm having faith in God. I'm putting my faith. And he's told me and given me hints. Today's paper, there were plenty. I could point them out, but I'm not going to. It's a long process. I've already gone close to an hour. I didn't expect to go this long. I was trying to make this as short as I can. But that's not easy to do for me. I don't make anything short. And as I said, I tried to stand up, and I did pretty good. I got people to laugh. I was trying to show the bar to my wife and kids. A couple of years ago, we were in California, and oh my God, the place has gone to pure hell. San Francisco, please pick it up. Come on, you were a gorgeous state 20 years ago. What the hell is going on? Pelosi, get off your ass and clean up your own goddamn district. Go figure. Even God's disgusted with you. Besides that, that's me. That's not God. But he's pretty pissed off, too, that you're allowed that country, that God's country, really. He loves California. But he sure doesn't love the way Democrats have treated it and how they've let it fall into disrepair and pure hell. No, he's pretty pissed at that. But the way this country rolls is the way the world rolls. And God supports President Trump. And I hope you do too. and you will believe me, and you'll allow me to bring us all together in one form or another. And yes, it's with money. You give $1, $3, $10. It's up to you. Maybe I make money, maybe I don't, but my faith is out there. I'm putting this out there for all to see. And the police officer today reminded me. He said, "Good to see you. I'm glad that you didn't retire." And I said, "Well, not yet." And I was joking, but you know what? Every time I think about not doing this video, I would start getting pain back again in my feet, my knees, my ankles. And when I talk about doing the video, I think about it and I say, God wants me to get this out there. It's amazing. The pain starts going away and I feel better. And maybe that's psychosomatic. Yes, I didn't go to college, but I understand big words mean. And you stupid bastards. Just because you went to college does not mean you're smarter than anyone else. It means you have a degree. And if you took a degree in pottery, guess what? You still don't have a goddamn job. Give me paper or plastic, you son of a bitch. And even now we can't have plastic, so just put it in the goddamn paper. Anyway, that being said, this started. I haven't even got to the whole story yet. As I said, this started on Christmas Eve. And we were leaving, and my wife said, "Come on, we have to go." And I got pissed. As I said, I'm going back again. You got to stay with me. I go back, I go forward, I go back again. I got pissed, and my kids were in the car, and I said, "Listen, for 30 years," I have a glare behind me. I have no idea what that is. That's the light off my light here. Anyway, leave it alone. It doesn't matter. That's the light behind me like Jesus has. You got that light behind him. I can't make that go. Well, anyway, you know what I'm talking about, the little light that's behind Jesus in all the old pictures. Try to do the same thing. No, it won't work. Anyway, I said to my wife, "Listen, you used to laugh at all my jokes. You used to join in. You used to have fun." She goes, "Yeah, and you're still pretty funny. But after 30 years of watching the same show, it gets old." Now, she thought she was insulting me. I thought it was the best burn ever. I literally fell on the ground laughing. And she said, "What the hell's wrong with you?" I said, "That's the funniest thing you've said to me in years. This is the wife that I remember. The one who will give me shit back. The one who will talk up. The one who will be herself, and she will talk to me." And she said, "Just get in the car, you ass." Which, of course, I did. Well, I didn't have any more THC. All I had was the CBD, and I was using that. And it does work, but it's not the same. And then if you use too much of that, it literally, to me, it made me tired. That's all it did. But it did help with the knees and some of the pain. But I was back using painkillers, and I didn't like that. So I got the THC and the oil later on. But for a few days up until the 27th, I believe it was, I didn't have anything. And I'll share this video with you, and you be the judge. I had no weed for 3 or 4 days, no nothing. And all of a sudden, I could walk and I could run, and I had no pains, and I have no idea what it was all about. But I could hear God. I could hear a voice telling me that I needed to push for Trump. I needed to let people know it's not just Republicans. It's God. God supports Donald Trump. And I know that sounds crazy. Are you going to just swear at me? If you have $3 that you want to spend and you think you're going to spend it just to yell at me and call me crazy, I don't want your money. I only want positive people. I want people who understand that I believe that I talked with God. And if you believe it too, you belong with me. That one person can change the world. That's what I want. If you have your $3, you keep it if you want to be negative. You keep it if you want to just insult me, or do you want to call me crazy, or you want to start all the bullshit that's online. Keep your money. I don't need it that badly. You know what? If you believe in God and you believe God helps and he supports America, and yes, it is a he, at least how he showed himself to me, then I hope you can support me and that you will support me. But anyway, I went to work, and I'll show you the video. And I didn't take anything after that. I stopped with the THC. I stopped with the weed. And I cut back on all my pain medicines to see what would happen the next night. And I did the same thing I did this night that the pain went away. I took the stairs going into work, which I never take stairs. I'm like Kung Fu Ninja. I'm like the Kung Fu Panda. Me and stairs, that's my nemesis. I avoid them. I have arthritis in both knees, and my ankles are sore, and I don't like to walk. But I took the stairs. I did everything I did the night before, and I felt great. And somebody asked me, do I still feel great? How do I feel? I said, I don't understand it. I feel incredible. I feel on top of the moon. And this went on for a few days. Then I was sitting in my chair, and God finally gave me the message. He wanted me to talk about President Donald Trump, to tell the world, to put it out there, to have faith that God supports Donald Trump and that the rest of us should support him too. And he's saving not just America, but the world. And I was sitting in my chair and I'm arguing politics like I tend to do. And yes, I'm one of those guys, you libtard and this and that. And I've been trying to be nice because I'm tired of Facebook jail. I've been taking it back a little bit. But anyway, yes, I do get angry and ask me, are you an idiot? Yeah. But now I have these PTSD drugs. So I'm kind of like, oh, shucks, are you for real? That's how they kind of change it. Anyway, I didn't know. I was talking to God and I said, God, why would anyone listen to me? As I said, I'm an awful vessel. I've had problems. I've not always been on the right side of the law. Why? Why would anyone listen to me? Who's going to take me serious? Who's going to listen to me? Well, at that time, one of the comments I made got a comment back. And it was from a guy named Dean Cain. So we were talking and making fun of one other person, sending facts back and forth. And I noticed his name and I said, hey, that's hilarious. You have the same name as Superman. Now he said, I guess you didn't look at my profile, which of course I never do. I don't care. I think I have 8 followers because I don't really care. And I don't friend anybody because if I don't know you, I don't friend you. That's the way I've been. I don't give a shit what you say for the most part, other than online at that moment. And it's a lot of times I get into an argument, I make a comment and I forget about Twitter, and it makes your life go easier when you're not always arguing. But I do like to argue. I'll be the first to admit I love to argue. But I forget that I put a comment out there. And there have been times when I get back to somebody 6 months later and they go, what the hell? What are you, some kind of Russian bot? No, I'm just some kind of asshole. I forget what I was doing. And I forget I started an argument and it went on. But either way, I felt great that whole week. And I'm sitting in my chair and I'm arguing. Dean Cain, I said, wow, you really are Superman. That's cool. And Dean Cain's talked to me, and we chatted a little. Well, who comes in after that is Herschel Walker. And I screenshot Herschel Walker. I have the screenshot. And he was talking to us. And that was my hint from God. Who's going to listen to me? I can have more attention than I think I do. If I can talk to Herschel Walker and Dean Cain just on Twitter, who can I talk to on YouTube? Who knows? It's out there. That's the opportunity. That's what God gave me. And that's what he was pushing. And I was afraid to do it. And with each day that's gone by, I've gotten a little bit of pain back, a little bit of the problems. And I haven't been smoking, but the THC and the CBD take some of the pain away, except my feet. There's some problem with my feet. I don't know what that's all about. But either way, the knees and the ankles and the other pains, they came back. And as I explained to my wife, the marijuana helps. And yeah, for 10 years, there have been moments where I wanted to just die. The pain was incredibly awful. And if pot changes that, if it makes me feel better for one day, it's worth it. And even if there's a manic, whatever, it's worth it because you can change dosage and change a lot about it. But anyway, going forward, I kept getting all of these signs that I needed to talk about this, And now it's been a few weeks later. And President Trump, you've already done much of what God wanted me to tell you to do. You've already controlled yourself and like I said, I know God talks to other people because he told me, motherfucker, you think you're the only one I talk to? That's right. You got to hear that in Samuel L. Jackson's voice. It's a lot funnier that way. But God supports you, Mr. Trump. And there's more people on your side. You have the Joe Pags, as I said, the Candace Owens, Hodge twins. You have the Howie Carrs. You have, Sergeant Clark. you have, or Deputy Sheriff Clark, you have all these people in your corner, and they're putting the truth out there that you're not a racist. Your policies are for everyone, not just for one, not just for a few. But we are a Christian country. We were built, those opportunities were given to our forefathers, and they took the opportunities and they came here and they worked with the opportunities. And no, it's not all pretty, our history, but we are based as a Christian society. And you don't have to be Christian to come here, but that is our society. And we do have a culture, and it is based around Christianity. So AOC and the rest of the crew, and especially Ilhan Omar, you need to get the hell out of America. You married your brother. You came here illegally. You're just trying. How the hell you even got elected? Well, I'm not even going there because that just pisses me off. God has nothing to say about you. That's me. I think you're a disgrace. I'm a fuck up, but you're a goddamn disgrace. That's coming from me. That ain't coming from God. Although he thinks you're a piece of shit too. I'm sure of that. But we have culture in this country. And even if you don't want to believe that, there's God, there's apple pie, there's baseball. There's a lot more that goes along with our culture. And for you to say that we don't have that culture anymore, for Obama to say we are no longer a Christian nation, fuck you. God said we are. God said, motherfucker, we are a Christian nation because we became a Christian nation because our founding fathers who wrote the Declaration, who wrote those words down, they got guidance. They asked for guidance from God, and they got that guidance from God. That declaration isn't just written by man. There's God's hand within it. And you can read all the areas where God's involved. And you can pick out where the separation of God and state is bullshit. Go look at it. Go read the Declaration. You can see where the influence of God took over, and it's in there. And all you got to do is look. It's not that hard to find. We are a Christian nation, which allows every other nation and other gods and other people to come in and live with us. If you can assimilate into our society and fabric of this country, and if we can get Democrats and these socialists and these communists to stop trying to change the nature and the fabric of this country from something great into something that is unrecognizable. They want to destroy this country. That's not fake. That's true. And God wants me to tell you, don't support these people. Support the president. Support the Republicans. Support the people who want to make greatness, who are trying to keep this country great. It's not just a slogan. It was given to him through God. And you better believe that. And I'm hoping you can get some support behind me. I'm hoping you'll believe me. I have a GoFundMe that I think is hilarious. And God said I'm okay to go with it. So I'm going to. And maybe I crash and burn. Maybe I don't. I'm not perfect. I'm a lousy vessel. But I'm the vessel God chose. And I'm not alone. There's more people out there. And they're afraid to come forward and say they spoke with God, that they had talks with God, that God, not only did they speak with God, but God spoke to them, and they're afraid to come forward. And God said, part of the reason he picked me is I have a big mouth, and I'm not afraid, and I will come forward. And it's about time I forgive myself for my transgressions. It's about time that I'm allowed to give myself some weight off of my shoulders, that I can be the man my wife wanted me to be, that I can be the man that I should have been all along. And it wasn't meant to be manual labor, which is what I do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. I make a good living. I do well. And support your unions, Mr. President. I know there's a question mark about that when you were in business. And you made comments about that while you were running. Who better to handle tax situations between corporations and the red tape? Somebody who's been there. Yes, you use the same tax codes, and it's legal, and there's no problem with that. And I don't know why people would have a problem with that. You paid your fair share, just like every other one. You pay what is the legal amount. You pay what you're supposed to pay. I don't see all these socialist Democrats volunteering to pay more than they're supposed to pay. Neither should you. But God supports you, Mr. President, and I support you. And thank you. That's more than anything. Thank you for taking care of our country and for giving my children a better future. It's already started. The past 3 years, we've seen how far this country has come. And things like this pandemic, I would have asked God about, is this from him or is this from, I still think it was released by man somehow to infiltrate our markets and our connections with China and our communications, and to bring down the markets, because that's the only way the Democrats and the communists can defeat President Trump, by hurting our markets. But we've had more faith, and God's been talking to a lot more people than just me. And that's why there was a boom in our market. The New York Times said the market went up, or New York Post, somebody said the market went up because Biden won this round and people are supporting him. No, the market went up because watching these Democrats, people in the know that there's no way that they can beat Donald Trump, and that God supports Trump, and that these people have lost their minds. The rest of America does not support your communist, socialist bullshit agenda. No, that's why we have the Electoral College. That's why it's such a wonderful thing. And the Electoral College may have just come from God, I'm guessing, because it's genius and it allows every vote to actually count. You want to talk about every vote counting? That's what they mean by every vote counts. Not just the conglomerate cities where everybody is, but in the rural areas get a piece. They get us to say something. They're able to speak and vote and be heard. And that's what's important about the Electoral College. And that's what we can never get rid of. And that's, these people are against America, and God supports America. You don't have to believe that. I'm not saying you have to, but keep your negativity out of my threads. Keep your negativity to yourself. I'm putting my faith in my fellow deplorables. I'm putting my faith in my fellow Christians, my fellow believers of God, not just Christians, actually. People who believe there is a higher power, regardless of what you believe. There's a higher power. There's more to this place than just us, than what we see. And we leave a legacy behind us. And it's not too late to start your legacy. That's what God is telling me now, that I have this opportunity and I can't be afraid to go with it. And I'm not now. I'm putting it out there. My full faith is out there for the world to see. My wife's going to kill me. But this was needed to be done. And I'm not getting good enough with this technology. My friend is helping me. Go look at my first video. You can see just how confused I am. My first YouTube video. I'm so confused. It's pathetic. I might be wearing the same shirt, actually, in that video. I'm not sure. It's one of my favorites. Support your local. This is from the New England Aquarium. It's a great place. Support your local aquariums. And I get a t-shirt everywhere I've been, because I've had a lot of shots to the head. So it kind of reminds me of, yeah, that's where I was. Anyway, to make my point, God supports America. God supports Donald J. Trump. And you should support him too. Stay strong, America. Keep up the good fight. Don't ever fail and don't ever fall. We are who we are. And that's the US of A. Thank you.